Alright, we will be tearing apart a 2003 Arctic Cat 400, and this motor is an automatic, so it's got the belt drive over there. We're going to start by pulling off the head, starter, recoil, just kind of pulling some stuff off the outside, and then we will get into splitting that case. So, first thing we're going to do, we've got a handful of 10mm head cover bolts. And you will have to remove these covers. There's a 10mm bolt inside. So once you get those removed, what I do then is I'll pull the cam chain tensioner, and that takes an Allen wrench. And you can just do the two outside Allen bolts, or you could do the center 10mm bolt, but you'll have to pull these Allen bolts at some point. So loosen these completely up, take these out, take and just tap on this, and that'll pop this out. This is spring loaded in here, and it catches, so it won't go back in this way, but it will spring load out. So now we've got all the pressure off of this this head cover here, and we'll take and we'll break this free. There's two spots on either side that you're able to get a screwdriver under, or a little pry bar, and pry. That way you're not damaging any gasket area. So take advantage of that, so that there's no scoring. Okay, we've got your cam chain, your cam here, your cam chain here, it's your camshaft. Now this tensioner allows this sprocket to be loose. Okay, if you didn't have the tensioner on there, there would be pressure on it, and it would pull your cam up like this, and could torque it in there enough to cause damage. So what I'm going to do actually right now is pull the recoil. There's 8mm bolts all the way around. By having that off, we can turn this. Now what we'll do is take a screwdriver and flatten out this holder here. 10mm out. Okay, now what we'll do is take and turn this. And that'll turn that cam enough to get to that top bolt there. Same thing, flatten the retainer. Here, this is holding a guide on it. That'll give me a little more room as well. Now it drops down in there. Now that'll give us enough room to slide that chain off. We'll pick that whole cam up, slide it off the end there. I'm going to try to keep this cam chain up, and I'm going to go ahead and put these bolts back in. This all together. Now what we're going to do is pull that head. So we've got 14mm bolts on the top there. And those are torqued down quite a bit, so we might need to use air to get those off, but alright, we'll pull these head bolts here. And we've got bolts probably on either side, 12mm bolts. Excuse me, 12mm nuts on the bottom here. They loosen up with a wrench. And that'll keep that head from coming off. So you want to make sure you pull these nuts before you try pulling it off. Got your starter here, we can pull that off with 8mm. And going back together, you want to torque these head bolts and these two nuts that are on the side here. That way your gasket is sealed properly. Alright, both those are off. Now your head will be ready to come off here. And remember, we've got your screwdriver holding that chain on there, so you won't be able to go too terrible far, but alright, and that head is off there. There's your valves, there's your head gasket here, and this motor ran, so this stuff is in good condition. We've got your guide there that we pulled off, and there'll be the other guide here. Got your tensioner there. In this cylinder we have two 10mm nuts on the side that we'll have to take off here. And then this cylinder will come off. You've got your head gasket here, or your base gasket here. You've got your piston. Now we don't want to turn this motor over until we dig that cam chain out of the bottom. If you do turn that motor over, or it gets turned over, it'll spin that cam chain, potentially breaking that engine case. So we'll pull that piston up there far enough to pull the circlip, and I just take a pick, hook that circlip, pull it out, make sure you keep it so it doesn't go flying, and then push that pin out. And then I'll take and put that clip with the piston. Alright, the starter will come out here, and I'm going to take a little screwdriver, pry it. There's O-rings around here that'll seal that, so make sure you come out straight with this. Next we'll pull the recoil, which we already have the recoil off. We'll pull the cup here, we'll pull the flywheel, we'll pull the stator. Alright, we will pull this bolt here, 14mm. And this is called your recoil cup. That's what the recoil grabs to spin the crank over. This is the speedometer gear here, speedometer cable coming in there. And then you can pull this off with two 8mm bolts. If this cable has any kind of crease in it at all, it's probably not going to be good. We'll check it, but generally when they're creased, they're going to break or they have broke. So to pull this speedometer gear off, just twist it to kind of break that gasket seal, and then there's your gear here. Cable sits in there and we'll spin that. We got a Torx head here, and that'll have to be pulled off before the flywheel cover can be removed. Alright, then we've got 8mm bolts all the way around this. So we'll go through and remove all those. 14 of them around the outside. So we've got a 12mm here right by the dipstick. Alright, that was a 12mm. And then this cover should be ready to come off. Now it's a big magnet behind here, so there'll be some pressure when you go to pull that off. Okay, we've got your flywheel here, and This looks, besides one weight here, 2 weights maybe, this flywheel looks good. So this motor was actually running. This flywheel is a common problem. So I didn't damage anything on here, which is unusual. But here's an idle gear here that attaches to the starter. Big gear here that attaches to the speedometer gear that we took off. Alright, and we will get ready to pull that flywheel.